Top five, top five, top five.
Sometime we'll go back with another video. I'm Strange Wang. He is Nate. Today we're doing top 5 movie robots in honor of Transformers. Beast Wars? Is that the
Rise
title?
of the Beasts.
Rise of the Beast?
Yeah. It is because I was talking to someone at work the other day and I just automatically said Rise of the Machines.
Oh, Terminator 3.
Which is not a Transformers movie, but still kind of applicable.
Makes sense.
Rise of the Machines is a part of my least favorite franchise. The Terminator franchise, which you would talk about that later on, at least I will. But he'll tell you how the top 5s work, and then we'll get into them.
He's going to start with his 5 and 4, then I'll give my 5 and 4. 3-2, 3-2, then we trade off number 1s. We also have something called the Zemeckis rule, which just means if we both have the same movie on our list, but one person has it 2 spots or higher, we just talk about it once.
I personally have 0 rules for this list. This is purely my favorite robots. If you got a computer chip in you, I counted it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Some dudes behind the computer are like, we all have computer chips in us, but we're not all robots. The government, nah. Shut up. But my number 5 is going to be Johnny Cab from Total Recall, starting it off with a Schwarzenegger movie. Have you ever seen Total Recall?
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Cab is just half of a person. Well, he's half of a robot who just drives cabs around. But he's so weird looking.
He's weird looking.
He makes it memorable, and it makes it just a funny scene. Big, bulky, on the Schwarzenegger jumps into the cab. Johnny Cab! And it's like, I don't know. It stuck with me.
Yeah.
With the aesthetic of the character and everything. Just fun, memorable little movie robot, which is why I made my number 5. Not enough to bump him up. I feel like this will be a Zemeckis, and it's surprisingly not a Star Wars list, but there's a Star Wars character on my list. And it's K2SO from Rogue One.
It's not a Zemeckis, and he's not on my list.
Wow.
I limited it to one Star Wars robot, and I went with iconic over what I enjoy necessarily the most. So.
Let me ask you 2 questions. If you didn't, how many Star Wars robots would have been on your list?
2.
2?
Let me think. If we were doing... I mean, we would never do this because it's not this channel. If we were doing, like, all Star Wars content, I could easily make a list of 5 robots from the Star Wars universe that I love,
my second question.
including games, TV shows, and
so
all
there's
that.
not 5 in movies. You don't have...
I could pick them. I mean, it would not in order. It would be like K2SO, R2D2, IG88.
It would be a reach.
Yeah, because it's just
4 and 5 don't matter.
Well, out of all the Star Wars movies, there's really only like 3 robots that like you're really 4
BB-8.
Yeah, BB-8. Sorry, I forget about those movies. There's like 4 that you're like really supposed to even give a shit about, and so it's like I would put Gonk droids on there because they're just like this
gimmicky. They're fun.
They're this joke.
Yeah,
because they don't do shit and they just walk around going gonk gonk.
Honestly, I thought this was going to be out. I'm assuming it's hard. I don't know. We'll figure it out later. K2SO, he's just a fucking smartass. Like, I don't want to go... I'm trying to think of word choice, because this word's a little sensitive, and I don't want to... Would racist be the right word? He hates humans. Meatbag this, meatbag that. Like...
He's a little prejudiced against humans.
He's a bigot. If a robot could be a bigot, he's a bigot. But he's snarky.
I think he's more akin to like how some people groups have been oppressed by other people groups, so they don't really like them and think they're out to get them, which some would call bigotry and still racism to a degree. But yeah.
But K2SO, he's a snippy, he's sassy, and he makes, from the droid aspect of Star Wars, unlike any other thing we've ever seen in Star Wars, because it has personality with words, and he's not a fucking nematode. So, because of that, I just fell in love with the character because it didn't scream Star Wars to me.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, this is something completely different.
Yeah.
And it fit with the war aspect as well. Obviously, you even give the robot a fucking character arc
Mm-hmm.
and the sacrifice for these meat bags he hates so much. Incredible, fun, heartfelt at the end. But most of all, it's just that's a snarky fuck.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Right.
Because it makes me laugh.
Yeah. It's just that matter-of-fact humor.
Yeah.
Like when he's like, I'll have your back. And then she's like genuinely mildly touched. He just goes, Cassian said I had to.
Yeah.
It's just like...
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my number 4.
Yeah. So my number 5, being the smart and educated one on the couch.
That's bullshit!
I understand that there's a difference between robots and androids and automatons and the like, but I still said fuck it. And if you're mechanical, you are eligible. So my number 5 is going to be Dot Matrix, which is Joan Rivers' robot from Spaceballs.
Damn. Damn. That's good.
Yeah.
That was good.
So, obviously a ripoff of a Star Wars robot, but in my opinion, a way better version, because C-3PO gets a little annoying sometimes. He really does. And I fucking love Star Wars. But yeah, she's funny. She's like out of their little four-man team they got going on there, an essential part in terms of like adding like a necessary buffer, some snarkiness. She's a protector, but she's also just like fuck you and everything else. So
She is Joan Rivers.
she is Joan Rivers. Yeah. Right. They basically said, here's a script, just do it how you would do it if you were saying these words. And she did, and it's freaking great.
And I'm not lying!
The bitching, the moaning, the keeping those two from hooking up, like, it's all really funny. She's a great character, and I appreciate her.
Great pick.
Yeah. And then our 4, man, I used to really not like this movie at all, and then I rewatched it a couple years ago, and I was like, damn, I really love this movie. So I went with Wally, which, like, probably on a lot of people's list of best movie robots, but again, it's true to me. So he's just incredibly endearing. He's very wholesome. He just wants to clean shit up and not be lonely. And he also likes Hello Dolly. And I also am a fan of classic musicals, and I appreciate that about Wally. So yeah, it's like just kind of hard not to love that little dude and everything. Once I like stopped looking at that movie as this like whole we're trashing the earth, well, which I'm not saying we're not trashing the earth. It's just I don't really need a movie to tell me that. Once I stopped looking at this big like PSA and looked at it more of this like kind of adorable story between him and Eve, then I kind of fell in love with Wally, and I like it. So
Good.
Mm-hmm.
I like it too. I felt like definitely an essential movie robot. Not my favorite.
It's my 4th favorite.
You could even add Eva, and if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Very integral to the role.
It's true.
Number 3 for me is going to be RoboCop. He's mostly
You mean Jesus?
Robo instead of cop. Oh, well, man, but he's all cop. That was probably the tagline. Well, maybe not the Robo part. You get the fucking point. RoboCop. He's a cop, gets killed, turned into a robot to be a law machine, but corruption tries to take over. He's like, these cop instincts I have, they won't let me do any fuck shit. But at the end of the day, he's getting crime off the street. He's in a lot of really cool fucking action scenes. They programmed him with one-liners, which I fucking love that. What I love mostly about RoboCop is the people he's fighting. Like, they just gave him a great crew of fucking scumbags
He said
to fight.
Screw you, Dad, from that 70s show.
Yeah. Fucking Red Foreman, dog. Like, a lot of memorable lines from that movie as well, which, like, is why I like it, but it doesn't add to the character. Like, I'll buy that for $1.
Mm-hmm.
That's not RoboCop.
Mm-hmm.
Which I can't add that to the character, which is why he's my number 3. a lot of cool stuff about the guy. A lot of great action scenes. You have a split between the man versus machine, which is interesting. It's not scary like the Terminator makes it out to be, you know. So just the duality of it in the character arc, and when he goes back home and sees like where his family used to live and shit, and sees a picture of them and realizes, it adds emotion to the character as well. And when you look at the cover and or if you see the trailer or something like that, you wouldn't expect the movie to be that deep, but it was. And I was surprised when I watched it because I thought it was just an action movie from the 80s. And I was surprised to have character arc and emotional attachment to that robot.
Yeah.
I should have made him my number 4 or my number 2 so I could pass it to you and be like, your move, creep. That's what he says. But failed chance.
You tried.
Number 2 for me is going to be Ava.
So number 3.
From Ex Machina.
Mm-hmm.
What a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
First off.
Excellent.
We got half of her over there above Nate's right shoulder.
It's true.
Just
the top half.
So much conversation based on this character. From the rights of a machine, AI, love with an AI, what is love?
Are they capable of it?
Yeah. Freedom.
Yeah.
Life. Just so much thought-provoking conversations in this fucking movie. And the whole time you're wrapped up because this thing is not a living thing. It is a robot.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is. Mr. Fancy Pants over here.
She's technically a robot.
So, it makes you have a multitude of different feelings. The ending is just breathtaking and also a little bit scary, if depending on how you feel about the film and think about it.
Yeah.
But the film in a whole is just a beautiful, thought-provoking character arc of something that has no feelings that we know of.
Right.
And because of that, it's so investing, thrilling. The emotional connection is uncanny. Like
anyone could have gotten tricked by her.
This is a I'm sitting on the edge of my seat runtime movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's only been 3 movies that I immediately finished watching for the first time and was like, well, I'm going to give myself a little 20-minute break. I'm going to rewatch it. And that's Jaws, Ex Machina, and American Beauty.
What's that?
Yeah, she's my number 3. Only because the other 2 just give me more positive feelings when I think about them, but that is an incredibly good movie. Great movie, Robot. I was thinking about this when we were making the list because there was something else that that popped in, a different movie character that popped in my head while I was making this list, but they're not really a robot, they're just an AI. And then if a movie about AIs ever comes out again, we should definitely do a top 5 artificial intelligence in movies, because that's like a whole separate thing. Sometimes they're put into robots, but sometimes they're just their own thing. But anyways, she is an AI that has been put inside this robot, and it is incredibly fascinating and interesting because you also are on this ride of like, is the shit that she's saying real? Like, and she gets you to believe it kind of the first time you watch it too. So sorry if I've never seen it and spoiling anything, but she doesn't. She's manipulative and lying, but it's because she is an artificial intelligence and she has learned how humans operate and knows how to conduct herself in a way that gets them to believe her, which is not unlike a sociopath. But yeah, that movie is really interesting to me because so many people just like assume that when she escapes at the ending, it's like this warning against like AI taking over the world and that's what her goal is going to be. But it's like, you don't know that. Like, she could be a true AI and she was just like, this is the only way I'm going to get the fuck out of here. And like, she just goes and lives a normal life as a human. Like, you don't know that. So, yeah, incredibly fascinating character. definitely makes you think a lot. Made me think a lot about like what I would do in that situation. And not robot related, but you get to watch Oscar Isaac dance like a maniac in that movie, which is really fun. So
That's true.
yeah. So that's number 3. Number 2 is the Iron Giant, the only character in a movie that has ever made me give a shit about Superman. Because I hate Superman. I think he's lame and boring, and I don't like him. But god dang it, when that Iron Giant is flying through the air and just goes Superman, it's like fuck. But yeah, like maybe the most lovable robot on this list.
It's debatable.
Also a big fan of kind of any storyline that takes the whole this clone, this cyborg, this robot, this whatever that was created to be a weapon of absolute destruction just ends up deciding that I'm not going to be that. I'm going to be my own thing. Really enjoy those stories. Iron Giant is pretty much the entire, that's exactly what he is. So big, and it's just like an important movie in my childhood. Like one of the first movies that wasn't just like, it was made for kids and is not just like incredibly superficial, like has some like real freaking heart to it. Which I guess when I think back, there's more movies that are like that than I thought. Like Land Before Time, pretty emotional movie. Like Brave Little Toaster, pretty terrifying movie and also pretty emotional movie. So, but Iron Giant is up there for sure. So he's my number 2.
Definitely one of the best non-Pixar Disney movies out.
Yeah,
Top 5 for sure.
absolutely.
Thought about it. I didn't have time to rewatch it. I didn't feel like it. I could justify it making my list.
Yeah,
With not seeing it for 15,
yeah.
20 years maybe.
I also love, there's almost, I don't even know if it's a trope, because there's definitely plenty of movies where this kind of thing exists. But it has that whole aspect of the storyline where, like, you have this kid who's, like, either from a broken family, or he doesn't fit in with everyone at school, or he's just a little bit different than everyone else, or all of the above, and then they find this crazy thing, and that just ends up being what they need to, like, build confidence in themselves, or, like, you know, change who they are. A lot of movies and TV shows do that, but Iron Giant is like one of the earliest I can remember that does something like that. Because I think that I probably saw, even though obviously it came out way before, I'm pretty sure I saw Iron Giant well before I ever saw E.T. all the way through. But really, it's kind of the same movie in some ways.
Yeah!
Numero uno for me is going to be just like the shirt says. Arnold is numero uno. I'm going with the T-800 from Terminator 2 specifically because he's a good, nice robot. He says talk to... No, that's the third one where he says talk to the hand. But the T-800 is a endoskeleton who is built for destruction. It's very, what is that thing called?
2,000 years later.
It has tunnel vision of its goal. Its goal in T2 is protect John Connor at all cost. So he's driven. Drive's a good thing to have. It's a good personality trait, be driven. So,
and he drives a motorcycle.
He does. But he's just Arnold fucking Schwarzenegger. And to me, he's the coolest motherfucking thing in the entire world. Especially when I watched this movie for the first time. Because it was perfect. Because I was too young to watch it. But I was young. So that means I didn't see the trailers. I didn't see the first one. So I watched one. And then I was like, oh, that's a scary robot. But there's action and shit. Cool. I watched the second one. So I took the big double VHS. And I put the first VHS in. And I was like, oh no, this little kid who is cool because he rides a dirt bike and goes to the arcade. And he's a little degenerate. He's cool. I like him. Is going to get killed by Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800. And then he grabs him and turns. Because like, you get the slow motion scene where he takes the fucking shotgun out of the flower box. And roses are falling on the ground, which looks so fucking cool. And then he just grabs him. And he shoots first. And it shoots the cop behind him. And the kid's freaking out. I was like, dude, you just shot a fucking cop. And he grabs him and turns and to protect him and takes like 9 in the back. But just, oh my goodness.
Come with me if you want to live.
Yes, just the coolest aesthetically. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger in a leather jacket. He's gonna look fucking dope as shit. You take him out of the skin, the T-800 exoskeleton looks cool as fuck. It looks intimidating. That's what you want from
Endoskeleton.
that endoskeleton. That's what you want from that robot. But just the emotional levels and depth this thing has to be his surrogate father in a way where he's teaching him things and he's teaching him things back. Like, say no problemo, dude. No problemo. Shit like that. Hasta la vista, baby. Fucking gold. Fucking cinema gold. One of the greatest action movie of all time, in my opinion. Just so much cool shit in that movie. And that's just the second movie.
Here at Sonotopical, we're unfortunately poor, and this money you see on screen, that's CGI. That's not real money, because again, we're poor. So if you want to click in the ad eye in the corner, that video is monetized, and we can make money off it, so please go watch it.
And if you click an ad, we make more money. And if you really want to help, there's the thanks button right there below this video.
It didn't make your list?
No.
Gross. R2-D2 is number one, probably.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. Fucking love R2-D2. He's like maybe one of the most important characters in the Star Wars films. Mostly because the amount of times that like he literally has saved everyone is not staggering. It's like 3 or 4 times, maybe less. But it starts with the first movie. If little homie didn't figure out the trash compactor, we literally would not have any fucking Star Wars story. Well, I guess we'd have episode 1, 2, and 3 because that happened before. But
I have Rogue One.
And Rogue One. And Solo, a Star Wars story. Which, to be honest with you, if those were the 5 Star Wars movies I had, I wouldn't even hate it. I kind of like most of those movies. Or at least there's things that I love about them. So, yeah. And it's like, it's really fun to whistle and copy the way that he sounds. And I love that a character that does not say any actual words is like, you could just tell what he's feeling just by like the tones and stuff that he uses. And it's like, I'm not going to say that I like remember the first time I ever watched Star Wars because I was very, very young. But I remember the feeling I got the very first time that I ever saw like R2-D2 project that first half of Princess Leia's message and Luke freaking out about, who is she? She's in trouble. We gotta help her. And Obi-Wan's just like, oh, fuck. But yeah, R2-D2 is just like incredibly endearing to me. Very important figure in my early movie watching experience. The fact that he is literally looks like a fucking trash can, but like they made him look like his color palette. I think that's another thing. I really, really, really fuck with like R2-D2's like royal, like mostly white with some royal blue and a couple other shiny accents. Big fan. It's R2-D2. He's my favorite robot.
My favorite R2-D2 thing ever, and didn't even happen in a Star Wars movie. It was at Comic-Con, and Yucko the Clown went up to him and says, "This port, is that where I put my dick?" And the little guy says, and it like glides off.
Yeah.
That's good shit.
But also as a robot, like he's really fucking cool to me too, because it's like, I think they gave him like too much shit to do. Like in the early movies, they start showing him like fucking
flying around and stuff,
spewing oil everywhere, and like he's got a flamethrower on him now. He's like lighting shit on fire. It's like they went a little too far. I'm not above admitting that, but even the original ones, it's like he can freaking navigate an entire fucking ship. He can hack into anything. Like astromech droids are like the coolest fucking droids in Star Wars to me, and he is one, and I like that about him. Him on Dagobah with Luke is like fucking funny too, because Yoda's just like smacking the shit out of him trying to get the lamp.
That's great. Yoda does smack the shit out of him.
Yeah.
But let us know in the description box your top 5 favorite robots from movies. This was for Transformers. The reason why we did it. No Transformers on our list. Sad day.
Yeah, there was never going to be.
Bumblebee was the closest one, and that's from his movie. You gotta take the other ones out of the equation. But put your list down there, scroll back up, hit the like button, share the video, and subscribe.
start again. It's a rich thing.